quickly explain the nature of the bill that you're planning on introducing?
Well, it's a bill that would tax and regulate the use of marijuana. It's basically a bill that applies liquor law and tobacco law to marijuana. So it will allow purchase of up to 2 ounces of marijuana legally in stores approved by the state liquor authority. You have to be 21 years old. It can't be for resale. You have to use it in a private premise. It's not a bar, marijuana bar, or public smoking bar bill. It will actually do away with the kind of thing we're seeing with stop and frisk now because of the existing law. It will tax marijuana at a price of $50 an ounce for state purposes, with the locality having the right to apply a local sales tax as well, just like what takes place in liquor and tobacco. It's based on the recognition that our drug policies, particularly with marijuana, have existed and failed for 75 years. And it's time for us to stop wasting the criminal justice system's time and resources and ruining young people's life by putting them into the system for use of marijuana. It's a law that is not designed to be disproportionate and racist, but in its reality is, because the arrests of young people is disproportionately young people of color, even though national research shows there's just as much marijuana use in white communities as in communities of color. So we've set up a racially imbalanced set of laws, and that's also just fundamentally wrong for this country, wrong for this state. I think that's the gist of the law.
And could you speak to what some of the potential economic and tax gains for New York City and New York State at large would be under this law?
It's a little hard to truly estimate, but one estimate that was done by the New York City Comptroller, just for New York City alone, would be $400 million in revenue annually. That's a lot of money, and an estimated savings conservatively of $31 million in not arresting and putting through the court system even just half the people arrested on average per year now in New York City for marijuana-related offenses.
And could you speak again about how the bill might deal with people who smoke marijuana already that are currently buying it illegally, and whether or not you believe that they would switch over to buying it in this liquor store model?
I think most people would prefer not to be breaking the law, especially if they don't need to, and that it will be a fairly common thing quickly for people to choose to buy it through the approved stores. Or this bill also allows for a growth of up to 6 plants for personal use. And as people do now, people will continue to do some homegrown for themselves. So I really don't think what the motivation will be to stay in the black market for anyone.
And Governor Cuomo has expressed some pretty serious resignations about even legalizing marijuana for medical use. Assuming that this could pass through New York State Congress, how do you think that Cuomo would react to it?
Well, I have not discussed it with the governor yet, but I have listened to his concerns about medical marijuana, and in fact, none of those would be a problem with my bill. He has concerns about believing that there's medical evidence for medical use as a drug. That's not relevant to this bill. He has concerns about New York State becoming the arbiter of drug quality and quantities for prescription. That's not relevant for this bill. I think actually the reasons he's concerned about medical marijuana, not to put words in his mouth, actually might convince him why this is the right answer for New York State.
And what are your personal thoughts on the advisability of smoking marijuana?
Oh, I don't think anybody should go out and smoke marijuana. I'm not a believer in, using any kind of drugs in significant quantity. But let's face it, people smoke, they drink. The medical evidence is those are more dangerous to your health. So if we're letting that be allowed and we regulate and we tax, that's the model we should use for marijuana.
Great. Senator Krueger, thank you so much.